Caliber! 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together!
And welcome back to another edition of the True Patriot Outfitters podcast. Folks, we have a very special episode here that I cannot wait. We've got a special guest here with us that I don't even know if he realizes this yet. But when we first started the True Patriot Outfitters podcast and then made the decision to get into the kayak world, the first Colorado angler in a kayak that I ever had on the True Patriot Outfitters is our guest tonight, Mr. Alex Rojas. To a great degree, this guy is like my Obi-Wan Kenobi. I said it the other night when I was interviewing, or when James was on, Strawbridge was on here. He's not old enough to be my Yoda, but he can certainly be Obi-Wan to me because he gave me so much awesome advice as far as getting into the kayak world and really helping move me along a little bit faster so I didn't have to learn a lot of the pitfalls on this. So very excited to have him here with us tonight. Before we get going too much further here, make sure you smash that subscribe button, folks. Help us build this YouTube community. It is a major part for us in the podcast, keeping our platform going, helping attract sponsors and attract supporters for the True Patriot Outfitters, keeping our mission rolling out there, and keeping my fat butt behind the steering wheel of my Chevy Silverado and keeping this stuff rolling. So please make sure, get that subscribe, get that share going out there. Tonight's episode brought to you by my title sponsor, Romans Warrior Foundation. You guys hear us talk about those guys all the time. They have a lot of different divisions, the Field Ops, Stop 22, Global War on Terror, Wall of Remembrance. Go check them out at romanswarriorfoundation.org. Helping is healing, and that is exactly what we're out there to do. And last but not least, of course, Amped Outdoors. Listen, I'm not gonna throw two sales lines at you, but here's the deal: if you're wanting to get into the lithium game, if you're curious about getting into lithium batteries, if you're in a kayak, you should be considering looking at it just from the weight aspect alone. But if you are, there's a company that checks all the boxes, man, and I'm telling you right now, I've done the research. I've gone out there and looked it over. If you're looking for quality, price, customer service, options available to you out there, Amped Outdoors has you covered. Matt and his team over there at Amped are amazing. I am proud to say part of their team, being with them. They're getting out there. They're sponsoring leagues. They're sponsoring a lot of different events, getting involved in the kayak world, and that's something you love to see, is when companies take a vested interest in our sport. The bills are paid. Let's go ahead and get the man in here right now. Let's go ahead and bring him onto the show. Mr. Rojas, how the heck are you, sir?
Doing really good, Sean. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
You bet, man. I know you heard me out there. I don't even know if you remembered that you were the first kayak Colorado angler to be on the True Patriot Outfitters podcast, man. And that's
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, dude, you saved me so many headaches and issues with the advice it was off air that you and I were talking so much there. I know I talked your ear off. That. And you gave me such awesome advice, dude, and I followed it to a T, and it was, I remember saying to myself so many times, oh, dude, he was right. He was totally right. I got lucky. The one, you gave me an awesome piece of advice about taking a sponge with me if I didn't have a pump or whatever. The beauty is, with my Unlimited, I actually got rid of the pump and everything because I don't need it. Right. The thing drains so ridiculously fast. Yeah. It's like, nah, I'm good. I drop out a couple scuppers out of that thing, get moving forward, and she just pulls the water right out. So
there you go, man.
But I still do keep a little towel in my gear pod to keep my my live scope and all my wiring and everything nice and dry in there. You don't want that to get messed up. So, dude, we're bringing you back on here, man. You've had yourself quite a start to your season, and most importantly here with the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, you were at Pueblo. And dude, you've got a story here. I've heard murmurs, I've heard tales, but I don't have full details. And I kept telling people, no, don't tell me. I want to hear it from Alex on the show. So you won the last event, dude. And not only did you win, but you smashed. I mean, this has got to be like, I don't know what Colorado's criteria is, but it's got to be master angler material on a smallmouth bass at 20 and a half. 20 inches, 20.5. Dude, that is a toad for Colorado.
Yeah, for sure. I was pretty blessed with that one. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that when you put that thing up, we saw, obviously watch it. I'm like, is he still in Colorado or did he did he jump out of state for that one?
Yeah, so I got a funny phone call from Scott Brands. He called me on a separate thing, talk about casting or something, but he called me up and he messed with me pretty good. Scott's a pretty serious guy usually, he called me up. He's like, dude, I have some bad news for you. I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, so I was reviewing the photo submissions and everything for the tournament, and all your photos say you were at Valco Ponds.
What a jerk.
Yeah, and I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, they're all Valco Ponds, man. Do you have any other pictures? I'm like, no. He said, I'm just kidding, And, yeah, he got me pretty good. I thought, oh, was my location off? What the heck happened there, So he got me pretty good.
Scott's going to be bunking with me at Red Willow here, so I'll see if I can figure out something to get him back for you there.
Yeah. I'll get something for sure. I got something in the future for sure for him. But yeah, he got me good. He got me real good.
That's dirty. That's dirty,
that is.
Especially when you come out and have a day like that.
Yeah, so, I got lucky.
So yeah, this is you having an opportunity this year to step back a little bit, and you're not on the board this year, so it gives you a chance, a little more family time now.
Absolutely. Focus
a little bit more on just the fishing side of things. How's that going, man? Is that feeling good?
I'm loving it. So I volunteered for CKFC, running that club for the last 6 years. There's all kinds of different board members, right? So I did that for 6 years. I devoted a lot of time to that. When I go in on anything I do in my life, I'm all in. I mean, I don't care what it is. I'm all in. That's just my personality. That's just what I do, right? No different than the kayak game, right? So when I got on the board, I was all in, and my wife knew I was going to get all in. She knows how I am. But it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And I told her after the 4 years I was done, and then I got pulled back in. Somebody had to drop out, and I had to pick up, and get back in the game again. So I did another 2 years, so 6 years. So at that point, I was just like, okay, now it's time for me to really step back. It changes too, because like during tournaments, people are always calling me,
right,
to ask questions. Why did this fish get denied? Even though I'm not judging fish, they'd call me like, why did this fish get denied? All various kinds of questions. Hey, I'm getting off the water. What do I have to do? All kinds of questions, right? It took time out of my day, which I didn't mind at all. It's part of the gig, right? So I knew that going in. But now, at the award ceremony afterwards also, I love to socialize with people. And I never got an opportunity to do that for the last 6 years because all I did was, all right, let's get awards together. Let's get the prizes together. Who won what, and just trying to organize all that side of it. I never got to socialize. And that's what I love doing. So now I'm able to take a step back, just fish, focus on fishing alone. So it's going really, 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 really well. I'll say this, though. I'm not fishing as much as I have in the past because I was in a unique situation with my job since COVID hit. For the past 3 years after COVID, I was only working every other Tuesday and Thursday. I'm getting paid full time, right? Because at our building, there's only two of us that do our job, and we couldn't both be there at the same time. And so our building's only open on Tuesdays and Thursdays for COVID. So he went 1 week, I went the following week because we both couldn't get sick at the same time. So I really it was a blessing, right, for me to be able to go.
Sure.
And I could do limited things from home, but I couldn't do a lot from home because of my job. So I was able to go fishing quite a bit, So the last 3 years, I really learned a lot. So I'm still pretty new to the bass game. I've been in this game for 6 or 7 years now. And I still consider myself pretty new because I'm still learning techniques. Like I've only caught a few fish on a jig, I've never caught a fish on a shaky head. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
But I never have, right? So there's a lot of techniques. Like last year, I focused on throwing a weightless worm because that's something I just never really did. And so the last 3 years, I've really been able to focus more and more and more on techniques and learn those techniques.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been pretty blessed. So this year's a little different. I'm only probably going to be able to fish tournaments for the most part. No pre-fishing for the most part. But it's more relaxed fishing. It really is.
I was gonna say, man, you can just see it. I know I saw it just in your face when you're out at the events, and like here, there is a calm that kind of that you can soak in the benefits a lot more. I think when you don't have so many fingers poked in so many different areas out there trying to keep everything running. We see this with Mr. Strawbridge over there at CKB. I mean,
absolutely,
dude's running his his tail off to make everything come together. We made a few rule changes over there collectively that give him a little bit more time. So we extended the time at the end of the tournament to get in. That allows him to at least stay out there to the final whistle. He doesn't need to come in 30 early.
Right.
That's
because I used to do that too. You used to come in about an hour early. Now I'm like at 2 p.m. I'm still casting till 2 p.m. till line's out.
Yeah.
So I get it. I appreciate him, Matt Flanagan, Matt Arledge for judging fish, and on the CKFC side, the whole board, they're all awesome, so yeah.
Dude, it's CKFC is obviously always going to hold a place. I don't fish the events. I'm hoping that the future holds something that'll allow me in because I am a motor guy. That's not going to change. The best way I explain this to somebody is I know a lot of people are in a lot better shape than I am, and I don't need to go pay money to go prove that. Because what I'm going to put my skills up against is my fishing skills. There, I think I got a fighting chance against anybody out there. But I realize that I'm going to huff and puff a lot more than you if I'm pedaling. Plus, the brand that we're with. I mean, I don't mean this disparagingly to New Canoe or anything, but our pedal systems are adequate.
Right.
And that's about as far as it goes. Right. We're not going to.
They're built for motors. They originally started
totally.
Off. Yeah.
We're not going to compete against Native or Hobie with their pedal systems. And we know that, or Jackson for that matter. We know that. Right. But at any rate, point is CKFC is. I mean, it's the largest club. It's the oldest kayak club in the state. It's the starter of the CKB. It helped basically get it rolling, and. Eric Ali and I talk about this all the time. We're so blessed to have the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters. They kind of represent a little bit different fields of fishing, but yet same open, friendly, communicative, and just welcoming setup out there, man. I'm so blown away by that, just the kayak community alone, but also so grateful for what you guys created right here in this state, because we're really lucky to have the two clubs here.
We really are. I agree with that 100%. The first guys that started the CKFC club, John Waginka, Jason Duong, Dave Kuzer, all those guys, hats off to them for getting it going and the way they got it going with the charitable events, as you well know, since you guys are receiving that donation this year from CKFC.
Yes, sir.
So we're just blessed. It's a welcoming club. From day one, I just felt extremely welcomed. My first day ever was in a kayak of any kind was at a tournament at Pueblo for CKFC. And they just helped me out and taught me the ropes. And hopefully I get to pay it forward. Hopefully I am paying it forward, because that's the end game for me, is just to pay it forward and get people into kayaks and teach them the game that I love, and the sport that I love. So,
hell yeah. Well, I can tell I'm one of your students, buddy, and I can tell you did a hell of a job with getting me set up, man. You definitely opened the doors for me and helped me avoid some pitfalls right out the gates that I guarantee you I would have made. So that's
so speaking of pitfalls,
stuff. Let's get to this, man. There's a story.
My story is a good one.
There's a story around Pueblo so you go out there. You put a whooping on the field, but walk us through, just take us through the entire day. Yeah, let's, from the time you get out there.
It's a weekend, not a day.
Gotcha.
I had a weekend that I always say I had a day. I I had highs, I had lows, and everything in between. So, yeah, I'll break it down. I'll go through the whole story. It's kind of long, but I'll go through the story.
We got time.
Yeah, we got time, right? So I went up down. I hadn't fished Pueblo at all. I fished in the wintertime, but that doesn't count, right? So I hadn't pre-fished. So I went up there Friday afternoon after work. I got there about 3, started fishing about 3:30, fished for about 3 hours, trying to figure out a bite, and just trying to figure out the pattern and whatever. So I went to a different area I knew I wasn't going to fish. I went to the Denver, to North Boat Ramp, just to fish that area, just because I knew my pattern. If I could find a pattern there, I could replicate it where I was going,
Right.
So I got there, started fishing. I went to the back of the coast first, saw some on beds, no big ones, just a bunch of little ones. Didn't fish for them at all. And I started working my way up towards the main lake, and I very quickly went to the main lake because I was just catching dink after dink after dink. I get up to the first secondary point as I'm working my way out. I get to that point. No, before I got to the point, I went to the cove. There's a small little cut. I caught some in there again, like biggest was like 14 and a quarter, a bunch of 12s and 13s. I get to that secondary point. I think it was my second cast there. It might have been my first or second cast. I hook up with a 15.5. Boom, right? I'm like, okay. Like 3 casts later, 2 or 3 casts later, I hook into a 14.75. I'm like, all right. So then I kept, like, I don't know, a few casts later, I hook into another 14. And then I started putting the clues together. I said, okay, they're on these points. The bigger ones seem to be further back, not in the coast, but pushed out a little bit, coming into the coast, right? So I figured that out. So I said, I want to go confirm this. So I ran out to the main lake points from there. And the very first main lake point I came to was at the end of the boat ramp main lake point there at North Marina on the right side.
Yeah.
I went out to that main lake point, and I think it was my first cast there. I caught a 16-incher. And then from there, I started really putting my pattern together. Because when I was initially throwing, I was throwing to the bank and coming down that 45-degree slope of the point.
Right.
And I kept on catching little guy. Like every cast, it was crazy how many I was catching, right? But they're all smaller. I started pushing myself back, and I started casting not all the way to the bank. I was casting about 10 to 15 feet off the bank.
Yep.
Going to the bottom with a little swim bait. And I just a slow retrieve, just bumping the bottom. I was getting stuck a lot too. I had to pop it out. Just slow retrieve with a tiny little swim bait. And then I started hooking into them. In about 20 casts, I had 77 to 78 inches. In about 20 casts. Right? In about 20 casts. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the deal now. Now I had figured out the deal. So I went to a few other points that are a little further runs, but I went out there to those other points to check them real quick. And I did the same thing, and I'd hook into like those 14.75 to 15.5 pretty consistently. And I was like, okay, I figured it out. Now I know what I want to do. Now my next problem was, do I want to come back here? That was not my plan at all, right? Or do I want to head to where I was going to go, right?
Don't leave fish to find fish.
Exactly. But I had burned through them pretty good too. So I was like, I think I burned through them. This is 2 days before the tournament because I was fishing multi-species on Saturday. So anyways, I found my pattern, right? I'll say this little hook right here. I don't know if you can see it there pretty well or not.
Yeah.
That's a Trocar 570 VP, I think it's called, size 1. So I pour my own jigs, right? This hook is an 1/8 ounce that I pour. This hook, holy moly. I just started using this hook. Before I was using a different hook. When you stick a fish with this hook, they are, like, I didn't lose any fish.
Pinned.
I did not lose the fish. They are pinned. And I wasn't even setting it. I was just totally just reeling into just reel setting, right? Holy cow, though, because that barb on thing's no joke. Like, I was fighting to get them off, right? And when I did set the hook on them, the only problem with Trocars is you pop holes in them pretty good when you set the hook.
Yeah.
And you do lose them that way, but with that one I never did because I just... Anyways, those Trocars are no joke, man.
James and I were talking about this. It's that sharpening, the methodology they use on that sharpened piece, the sides between laser sharp and Trocar. Yeah, dude, that's a hook you don't want to get in your hand because it's going to have to go all the way through because that barb is so so, real, man. It is
Right.
when it gets them, it gets them. But you're right. You do have to watch the gear you're throwing it on. I actually just went through mine preparing for this coming event here and made sure with those smaller wire that I wasn't throwing medium heavy rods with it, because I actually lost a couple from just horsing it.
Overpowering them.
Yes.
Overpowering them, yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not the hook's fault. That's my stupidity. I need to back it
Exactly.
off a little bit. So.
Yeah, so I tell this all. I specifically tell you and show you the hook for a reason, because it plays into the whole story. Okay.
Okay. All right.
It's crazy that it plays in, but it does, right? So, multi-species days, day 2, right? Saturday, right? Or day 1, Saturday, and then we have the bass tournament on Sunday. So multi-species, I go to the South Marina area because I know that area real well for multi-species. Because I got to catch walleye, I got to catch bass, and I got to catch trout, right?
So what is it on the multi-species? It's 3 of what species?
Yeah, it depends on the lake. Every lake's different.
Nice.
We change it up on every lake. So like at John Martin, it was 2 walleye. I'm trying to remember what it was. 2 walleye, 2 white bass, and a drum, I believe.
Okay.
We go up to the mountains. It's usually 3 trout, 2 pike. So it depends on the lake and what they want to do at that lake.
Nice.
Trinidad, so Trinidad I think it's going to be 1 pike, 3 walleye, 2 bass, I believe. I got to check, but so this one was 1 trout, 3 walleye, and 2 bass was the multi-species this day.
Okay.
So
nice.
So that day comes, and I didn't fish for bass the entire day. I didn't have to. I picked up bass trolling for walleye or casting for walleye. I didn't get any big ones, 15.5 and a 14.75, but for the multi, I was happy with that. It was that dang trout. Oh my gosh. I trolled for probably 5 hours to catch a 10-inch trout.
That's crazy.
So that day comes along, I'm fishing, I'm kind of frustrated trying to find trout. I end up in 8th place at the end of the day, but it's okay. I did okay. Not great, but okay. So I'm fishing this point, and I'm switching rods. And I'll go to grab a Ned rod, and as I'm pulling it out, I pull out this custom rod, my best custom rod I've built yet. I've only built a few. I just built this rod like a month and a half ago. Used it. This is the 3rd time I've used this rod. It's the perfect rod for that little swim bait I was throwing, because I built it to throw flies, hair jigs. I mean,
nice.
So I needed that really medium light to light rod, right? And so I just barely built this dang rod. It's a beautiful rod, love it. I'm pulling out my Ned rod, which is a different rod, and the reels get caught together. I pull it out of the rod holder. It falls in the water right next to me, right? I go to grab it. I barely miss it. I use the rod that I have in my hand. I have it twice. And I missed it, and it goes to the bottom. And I just sit there. And I was so mad. I was just like so frustrated with myself because it's just a rookie mistake,
Oh my gosh.
And I just lost this custom rod with a Fluger Supreme rod that I love a reel that I love on there, $130 reel, and I'm just mad. And there's nothing I could do at this point. It's 20 feet or probably 14 feet deep, and so I make a waypoint to go. I'm going to try to go get it one of these days when I go back to Pueblo. I'm going to try to go get it. I have a waypoint. I know where it is.
Right.
So I'm going to try to go get it one of these days. Maybe take a long rod and swim down as deep as I can and try to hook it. I don't know. But anyways.
Throw a Bama rig down there.
yeah, exactly. So now my day just went down. I'm frustrated not catching trout. My day's down, right? I don't have a trout yet. I don't have a limit. I'm pissed off, and I start fishing around.
I bet.
Half hour left in the tournament. I hooked my first trout. Now I got my limit. Now I'm like, okay, I catch 4 more trout in like 10 minutes after trolling for 5 hours for them. I upgrade to like a 12-inch trout. I end up in 8th place. Okay, not horrible. I did okay. I won a prize, okay, So end of the day, I'm like, it's not the end of the world, I'm back to getting, okay, I was down here, I'm coming back up.
Right.
We go to camp. Oh, no, we go to eat like a late lunch at the restaurant. We play, the 4 of us, we play credit card roulette to see who's going to pay for that lunch dinner thing. Of course, my luck. She picks my damn card, right? She picked it because she didn't randomly pick them. She went to just pick one to charge it. I have a Southwest card, and it has a heart on it. And she comes back and says, I picked your card because it has a heart on it. I'm like, are you kidding me, you know? So I lost the rod, finished in 8th place, coming up, back down. Have to pay $100 bill, you know, back down. We go to camp, right? We get to camp. I'm there with Corey and a bunch of guys. We're all having fun, playing some games and stuff and drinking, just having a good time, right?
Right.
The Nuggets game comes on. Nuggets win. They win the series. They're going to the finals. I'm ecstatic now. I'm back up high again. Woo! Everything's going great again, right?
Nice.
So now it's about bedtime. I tell the guys, you know, oh, I forgot this. The beginning of the tournament at the multi-species on Saturday, same day, Saturday, before I even launched, I'm getting my rods out of their socks and putting them on the kayak. My other medium light that I have 2 medium lights with me, has a broken tip. I don't know how it broke. It's not indoors. It's not in windows. It's a broken tip to start the day. So I started the multi-species day on the low again, right?
Right.
So now I have no rod with the correct action to throw what I want to throw on the bass day, right?
Dang.
So Matt Collins and Corey Doyle both, hey, take one of my rods. I have a medium light you can use. Corey's like, dude, just take mine, please. He has a custom one he built. It's one of his babies, too. He's like, take my custom rod, dude. It's a medium light. You'll love it. It's the same manufacturer that I built mine, NFC rods. Is who I built through. So I'm like, fine, Corey, I'll take it. He just jokingly tells me this. It's foreshadowing here. He says, just don't lose my rod. And I tell him, dude, no matter what happens, I promise you I will not lose your rod. Promise you. I'll be super careful with it, right? And that's all foreshadowing, okay? So here we go. I wake up Sunday morning. Bass tournament starts, you know. I get to, I'll tell you where I'll give you all the juice, right? So I go to the DLW ramp. I expect there to be like 14 to 20 people there. I really did, because there's 46 people or something like that in the tournament. I'm not sure what 40-something people in the tournament, right?
You're talking about the old DOW ramp?
Yeah, the old DLW.
You got to take the gravel road to get to it?
Yeah. Yep, the one on the south side of the lake, but the north side, right?
Roger that. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I go there. There's only like 6 or 7 of us. I was very surprised. There's not very many of us. So I was like, that's great. I won't have a lot of company, you know, and hopefully nobody's doing what I'm doing, right? So I figure everybody's going to be fishing the bedfish or maybe the first drop after the flats, you know. So I launch. I get going. I didn't go far. I just went right next to the ramp is where I started my day. Lines in starts at 6:40 or 5:45, I think it was. Right away, I think second cast, I catch a 14.75 inch fish. Boom. I'm like, okay, my pattern's here again. It's the same thing I was doing, right? And then I started catching a bunch of little dinks, like, you know, 12 inches, 13 inches, 14 inches. I'm not taking pictures of them. And this is a rookie move sometimes, too, is always take your first 5 fish, no matter if they're legal, if they're the minimum size fish, take the picture because you never know. It almost bit me at another tournament. So I'm throwing fish back like crazy. 14 inches, I'm throwing them back. I'm like, because I'm very confident I could get 77 inches. I'm very confident, right? But you never know, right? And
right.
I'm throwing them back like a dummy, and I'm starting to second guess myself. But I'm like, okay. I finally leave that point after about 15 minutes. I probably caught like 10 fish at that point. And I go to the next point. And I get there, and the next part of my pattern that I figured out was I get to that point, I'm hitting it from an angle. So the point comes out, but I'm hitting it from the side, right?
Right.
So I'm coming off the hump and going down this way instead of the more gradual way. And I'm catching dink, 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 dink. And I'm like, what the heck? So let me change my casting angle just to see, right? So that's why I line myself up directly with the angle of the ridges coming out, right? That point. And as soon as I did it, I caught a 15.25 or something like that. As soon as I did it.
Nice.
Boom. I'm like, all right. Then 3 or 4 casts later, magic happens, right? My rod tip just loads up. I didn't even have to do nothing. He set the hook himself, right? I'm like, phew. And my rod just goes down, whoop, right? And I knew I had a good fish on, but I was like, oh, I got a wiper.
I was going to say,
got a
you're
wiper.
thinking wiper at that point.
Yeah, I'm thinking I got a wiper. I'm like, oh. So when I get a big fish, I like to stand up because I can really play them around so they don't get into the drive or anything. So I'm standing up. It's pulling me around. Like, I'm babying it just in case. I thought about horsing it in just because it's that magic hour, you know. I'm like, I got to get this fish off, you know. I should horse it in. But I'm like, oh, just in case, you know. Let's not do that, right? So I'm playing it, and just letting it, you know, do its thing, right? I'm thinking it's a wiper the whole time. I really am. I'm just lines going out. I'm gaining. Line goes out. I'm gaining. Line goes out. It's probably about a 4-minute fight. I'm guessing, you know, somewhere in there, right?
Dang.
But I was taking my time. I really was taking my time, just in case.
Now, were you on that medium light rod? Is that what you were?
So the whole day I threw one rod the whole day until later in the day. That's a different thing. But the whole day I threw Corey's rod. That medium light that he let me borrow. And yeah, if I didn't have that, it would have been harder for me to cast accurate, get distance, set the hook.
Right.
I would have overpowered that hook with everything else I had, I think, or underpowered it, right? So yeah, I'm fighting it, and then I get a flash of brown. And oh my gosh, my heart sunk, right? I started shaking a little bit because I knew it was a good one, right? I could see how big it was, right? And I'm like, started getting nervous. I started going for my net. I started to get nervous. I'm like, and when you get a big fish, I don't know if you do this, Gene, but I do this when I get a big fish. I start going through. Don't horse it. Take your time.
Yeah.
But don't take too much time, you know.
Dude, it's bass fever. It's like anybody that goes hunting for, you know, when they see that buck, you know, the shakes start to occur. Oh yeah, dude, it's there. And yeah, your mind just starts, man, just going down all the list of do's and don'ts.
So I'm doing that. I tried to net him once, and then he takes a run on me. I'm like, and I bumped him. Like, oh no, you know, I got scared. I bump him. So the second time he comes up, I net him. And as soon as I net him, I just sat down like seat, and I just put my head up. I took some deep breaths. Like, oh my gosh, I knew that was a big fish of the day. I knew it right then. You know, like, I mean, somebody can always catch one bigger, but I knew that was probably gonna be the big fish of the day, which is $250, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I just want $250 on that fish, right? Put them on the board. I'm real careful. I do my thing with my net for a backboard so I don't lose them.
Same, yep.
As soon as it gets on the board, I'd snap a picture. I don't care if I lose inches with the mouth open, just to get it, right? And then I see it's 20.5 inches, and oh, wow, I'm shaking still, right? I take my set of pictures like I do, right? And I put him in the net, let him chill out in the net. He's in the water. I sit on my net on the handle so he can relax in there. I verify my picture every time to make sure the mouth is closed, touching the fence. Identifiers in there's no blurry spots. I can see the lines touching clearly. I do it every single time, right?
Yeah.
So I go through my little checklist that I do. Fish is great. I'm like, I'm trying to take, you know, my own selfies with it.
Right. I hate that.
Never does it justice, right?
Nope.
Right. And Matt, Corey always tells me this, dude, every fish you catch looks big. Because I'm a little guy, right? I have small hands. He's like, every fish you take, every fish looks big, you know, like.
I look at you guys and I'm like, you guys are like jockeys, man. You guys that are not in the high gravity zone like myself and Corey and some of the others.
Right. So he always makes fun of me for that, right? So anyways, I want to get a picture of this one. Like, I want a legit picture. So there's a boat next to me, a pontoon boat with a gentleman and his 2 kids. And I yell at him, hey, do you mind taking a picture? He's like, come on over, you know. So I take the fish in the net. I have it in the water the whole time. I pedal over there. I take my pictures. The gentleman's extremely nice. He texted to me. We texted. I gave him swim baits. I gave him a couple jigs. I told him what to do. I told him, if you could just stay off these points to my right, and you go left, I'll go right. From here all the way over, don't hit any of those points. This is the juice. And I told him exactly what to do. Go left, hit all those points you want. If you could just do me the favor, not go right, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, absolutely. So he went immediately. He texted me later. He caught some of his kids. They caught a few, but.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I take those pictures. I'm on cloud 9 now. I'm just like, I just want big fish. I mean, to catch a 20.5 inch at Pueblo is pretty good,
dude,
you know?
That is amazing. That is phenomenal.
So I was pretty confident, you know, that I want big fish at that point. So that's $250 in my pocket. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm super stoked. Still shaking. I go back to that point. I catch another 15, I think it was.
Wow.
So at this point, I think it was 67 inches, something like that. 60. I forgot what it was exactly. I think it was 67, 68 inches at this point. I have 4 fish that I submitted. Right. I go to the next point over. Immediately start catching fish. To 14, 14, 14. I think I got a 14.75 or 15. Now I'm at 83 inches, and it's like 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock. Is maybe 8:30 in the morning at that point, right?
Wow.
I got 83 and a half inches or whatever it was at this point, right? It's early. I'm like, I think I already won the tournament or pretty dang close. I'll place for sure top 3 with 83 inches.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident at least take top 3. So again, I'm just sky high, right? 83 inches. So now I said I'm going to make a long run now at this point to another point. I have like about 12 points I want to hit, and the juice is still to come, right? Like that isn't even my good points yet that I knew I could go get them better, right?
Wow.
And so I make the long run to the next point. It's a little bit of a haul. It takes me about half hour to get there, maybe. I get there. I catch a couple. They're like 14s, I think it was 14.75. Not upgrading at all. Those aren't helping me, right? And then I catch a 9. It was 909. I catch a 18 and a half. I think 18 and a quarter inch smallie, right?
Nice.
That one helps, right?
Yeah, dude.
So now I'm like, man.
There's a lot of tournaments where that takes big fish.
Right. That was the second biggest fish, by the way.
I figured, yeah. So that's a healthy for out here.
Top 2 fish for the day.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So now I'm really on cloud 9 now. Like I'm feeling it now. Like I'm at 85 inches plus at this point. I'm like, I won. I'm like, that's a special day on Pueblo. That is special. Like that'll never happen again for me, right? I don't think, at least. And so now I'm like, my goal now is to try to hit a crazy number. I want 90. I want 90. Unlikely, highly unlikely, but
go big and hunting.
I set a goal for myself. Like I'm going to start going to bigger swim baits. I'm going to start, trying to get those bigger ones now, right? And this is 909. I'm just way up here, right? I start working. I'm like, I'm going to work this pocket, get away from. I'm still check this pocket real quick. Get away from the main points real quick because this is a little pocket that I love, and I always see big fish back there, especially during spawning time. Both largemouth and smallmouth spawn right. There's 2 little cuts. They spawn right next to each other. So I said, let me just go back there just to check it. I usually do pretty good back there. I usually catch 16s back there, not at least one maybe. So let me just go check, see if I can upgrade 1 more inch here, inch and a half or so.
Yeah.
Because my smallest at that point, I think, was 15 or 15.25. I'm like, let me just go check it real quick. So I start working my way back there, and I'm fishing my way back. So 909, I catch 18 and a half, sky high. I hook another one, boom, halfway back into that little cut. I hook another one. It's a decent one. It's going to give me an upgrade. It's the 16, almost 16.75, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, it was 16 and a half to 16.75 when I put them on the board. I go to take a picture of him, Gene. It's now 9:29. Okay, 20 minutes after I caught that big 18 and a half, and I'm way up here, right?
Right.
9:29. I go to take the picture of him. He flops. That's when all hell breaks loose, okay? I take the picture. I don't know if I sent you this picture or not. It's an empty catch board. Okay, it's just an empty catch board. Okay?
Yes. Hang on one sec here.
Yeah, this is where the story really begins. This is where it gets good, right? I take a long time to get here, but this is where it gets good. So, I don't know if I sent that to you or not, Gene, but anyways, not important. It's just an empty picture of the catch board. The fish is not in there. So as I'm taking that picture, I bump somehow as he's flopping around trying to get a hold of him. There it is, right there.
Right here, yeah.
That's an empty picture I took. As he's flopping around, I'm trying to get him. When my elbow somehow hits that rod that Corey let me borrow.
Okay.
Again, foreshadowing before, right?
Right.
I will not lose your rod, Corey. I will not lose it. No. I bump out of the rod holder. I somehow bump it. It's a stealth rod holder. I somehow bump it, and I hear splash. And I look over, and I see his rod in the water. So I reach over to grab it. I touch it, but couldn't grab it. I went a second time, I could not reach it. So at this point, I made a business decision, and this is where it was a terrible, terrible, terrible business decision. I said, I am not losing this rod. I promised the guy I'm not losing his freaking custom rod he built that he loves. I dove in on purpose. Right? I dove in. I just went for it. Right? Because I could still see it and I could still grab it, So I dove in. The problem is, everything would have been great. I have a rod holder right next to me and a fish finder, a 9-inch Garmin right next to it, right? And they're sticking up kind of higher. So when I went in, I dove over it, but my knees and legs must not have, right?
Oh no!
I caught it. So I didn't feel it. It's all just afterwards. I know what happened. That's what happened. Is I caught it with my legs somehow. I get the rod in my hand. I come out, and when I look up, all I see is the kayak's upside down.
Oh,
right?
No.
And then that's when adrenaline comes in. All hell breaks loose. I never let go of the damn rod. And I just see things floating around me, and I'm grabbing them, and I'm about 10 to 15 feet offshore. And I just start chucking things on shore, just chucking them as I'm grabbing. Just whatever I can grab, I'm chucking on shore, right? And here it comes right here, right? This is how things start to end up on shore as I'm throwing them up on shore, right? Yeah, so we'll get to the pictures in a second, okay?
Yeah,
Don't go through all of them yet, okay?
No.
So I'm chucking them on shore. I'm pulling the kayak. It's upside down. Mind you, my phone takes like 15 or 20 different photos and video. I have video of underwater, and it shows my kayak. It shows my kayak upside down, and you can actually see the kayak's upside down underwater. I don't know how it happened.
Gosh!
Right? And then it shows me on shore pulling my phone out of the water. So yeah, I swim. So I'm trying to pull the kayak to shore. It's under. So here's a little lesson or a learning thing for me, right? For everybody. On the natives, on my Slayer Max, my hatch has little clips to lock it in place.
Okay.
I never use them because I like to open my hatch and throw like my rain gear in there, my jackets, to get snacks, my drinks.
Right.
I have extra baits in there, so I just open it and grab. So when it flipped, that hatch opened underwater.
Oh no!
And on the natives, there's a big hole there with a little cubby, a little thing that comes out, like a little container, if you will.
Right.
And there's a big hole. And so as I was saving stuff, I grabbed that cubby because it had my sweaters, it had a fish scale, it had a bunch of stuff in there that I wanted, and I threw it on shore. And when I did that, that's the mistake I made too, is that it opened that hole completely up.
So your hull started filling with water?
So immediately, within seconds, I felt that kayak get extremely heavy, and the butt end went into the water, right?
Oh, no.
And you can see in that picture, that whole back end is underneath the water, right?
Yeah.
The whole back end. And you can see that there's
right
two rods in the very back. There's two rods sticking up, and my power pole. And my power pole is the very back, okay?
Oh, my gosh.
So as I'm pulling it to shore, I'm swimming as fast as I can because I'm worried now if the kayak's going to sink. And I'm swimming and pulling it to shore. I get to shore, and I'm trying to flip it over again, and I cannot. At this point, at first I save a bunch of stuff real quick that I can, right? Because I got it to shore. It's kind of safe, but it's filling up with water, and it's starting to pull down because it's a slopey, really steep bank there.
Right.
And it's starting to pull the kayak down, and I'm holding on for dear life on the kayak, and it's starting to pull me because it's so damn heavy.
No kidding.
And I'm starting to get really worried. And it's still upside down at this point, but I can't pull it on shore anymore because my power pole, which was upright, it's like 6 feet up above the kayak. When it flips, it's now 6 feet below the water, and it's hitting the shore, and I cannot pull the kayak on because it's hitting it.
Oh no!
So now I'm in panic mode. I'm really in panic mode at this point. Somehow, I tried multiple times to flip the kayak, and I could not. Somehow, at that point, I got an adrenaline rush, and I was able to flip the kayak over, right? And so at that point, it's not taking any more water on, and I was able to actually get it up to a stable position that you just had the picture of.
Yep.
Right, with the nose up. But I could not move it from that position. I could not get it any further on shore, not even 1 more inch on shore. I could not get it any more up, not even 1 inch by myself. It was too heavy. Right?
Oh, my gosh.
So also when it's underwater, I had the remote for the power pole. I'm trying to release it to make it go down so it goes up, if that makes sense.
Right.
but it's not working. So at this point, I think I've screwed up my power pole. Like, it's done. It's toast. That's $800 down the drain, right?
No kidding.
In my head, again, this is all super low. I'm going down, 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 right? I got my forward-facing sonar that I just got this year. It's submerged underwater. Even right there in that picture, it's still submerged underwater at that point, I think. No, not at that point. I'd already taken it off, but it was submerged underwater for a very long time until I was able to get to it and pull it all out, right? My battery box completely submerged in water. So that's like $2,000 that I'm worried about right there too. That's $3,000 between those two items.
Easy.
That I'm scared to death that I just lost. So I can't get on shore anymore. I cannot. At that point, I'm like, I need to get this thing on shore to start getting the water out of this, but I can't. So I call up Matt Collins. So this is where the club is awesome. Guys are awesome. This community is awesome, right? That people will stop fishing the tournament that they're competing against you to help you, right? So I call Matt Collins. He's across the lake, completely across the lake. I call him because he launched where I launched. So I'm like, hey, Matt, is there any way you can come help me out? He's like, where are you at? I tell him, I'm across the lake. I'll get there as soon as I can. I say, hold on. Let me see if I can find somebody else. You're too far, I called Josh Unger. He was across the lake, but he's just leaving the cross lake to cross the lake to come to my side, right?
Right.
He's like, I'll be there in a second, dude. I'll be there as fast as I can. He gets there like in 3 minutes. He crossed the lake extremely fast. The old towns are fast. They're the fastest kayaks there are. So he got there really quick. He gets there. He's like, oh, my goodness. I'm like, yeah, dude, yeah. He walks in. At this point, it's a yard sale you showed a second ago with everything. I have everything laid out. I opened up all of my tackle boxes to start drying them out so I don't rust anything.
Right.
And I'm just I'm opening up everything so I can dry everything out, right? He gets there. He gets to shore. Between the two of us, we cannot move the kayak. We're inch by inch. Every time we heave and hoe, one more inch. What the pictures don't do justice is the slope of that bank. It's a good slope. We're pulling, and it's all shale. We're pulling and we're sliding down. We can't get traction.
I was going to say the thing with Pueblo too is it's all shale rock in there, so there's no footing that you can get a hold of.
No, we're just sliding, and there's mud. We're just sliding around, and we cannot get this kayak going. Inch by inch, we finally get it to the position, not that position, but another position that's a little bit where I finally got enough of the hole out of the water where my drain plug was like 1.5 inches out of the water, and I pull the drain plug out and it starts just pulling water out, right?
Right.
Matt gets over there about 40 minutes later. It's still draining water.
My gosh.
Yeah, it's still draining water. Matt gets there. This is where the story gets even better, right? Matt gets there. At this point now, I'm fishing for my rods because I lost 5 or 6 rods. I have 3 custom rods I want to get back. I have some Tatula reels, the TWS SVs that I love. I mean, I'm just like, God, I need these rods, So I just put a treble hook with a weight, and I'm fishing from the bank. That's hopefully I don't just get disqualified for fishing from the bank,
Right. No fish.
Right, because I'm fishing for just my gear, right? And I'm just dragging the bottom, and it's a lot of rock and a lot of weeds, and I actually hook a rod, and I get one up. I'm like, oh, sweet, I got a rod, and I catch one, so I'm like 4 down at this point. Matt gets there. He's in his kayak. He's like, dude, let me fish from a different angle since he's in the water in case the rods fell at a different angle that I can't hook very easily, right?
Right.
He makes, I think, a few casts, and he's like, dude, I think I got your rod. I'm like, all right, you got another rod. He's like, I think I got a fish. I'm like, what? He pulls 2 of my rods. I sent you this picture, I believe. Right?
Yep.
He hooks 2 of my rods and a fish. If you put the picture, you'll see it. This is insane, right? And I'm like, Matt, what the heck? And he's like, has it? You'll see here in this picture. There's a fish right there by his hand. There's a fish hanging from right there. And 2 of my rods are right there. What the heck, right? He catches F fish, probably like a 10-inch or whatever, but it's 2 of my rods.
That is amazing. In one fell swoop.
Right. So that's kind of the cool little story to it, right? So at that point now, I'm good. I tell the guys, I could drain the kayak on my own at this point. You guys go fish. Thank you so much. And they did, right? So I get the kayak to a point now where I can get the nose down and all the water rushes to the nose, right? and I had a Mountain Dew bottle with me.
Okay.
I cut the Mountain Dew bottles because trying to fill this little hole, it has to get all the air out, then fill up. It was just impossible. So I cut the top off so I could have a bigger hole so I could bail
You
water
start
out very
bailing,
quickly, right?
Right.
So I started bailing water like really quickly at that point. It takes like, I don't know, 50, 60 bales of water still after it's been drained for 45 minutes. That's how much water was in that hole.
Right.
I finally get it all out. Now I got to take inventory of everything. I caught all my rods, by the way. I caught them all, fished from shore. Took me like an hour and a half, but I got all my rods. So now I'm taking inventory. What did I lose? What am I missing? And I start taking inventory and start loading my kayak back up with everything. And I'm going through everything, and I cannot figure out anything that I lost. Okay. So my crate, let me show you something real quick. So this is my saving grace in my crate. Okay. I don't know if you see the foam. I have foam pads underneath there. Those foam pads, I have them on there for cushioning.
Okay.
So when I move the crate around, it doesn't make a lot of noise against the hull of the kayak, right?
Okay.
So it's just for cushioning. That saved my butt. So normally I have straps on the side of them that I normally strap in to little D-rings.
All right.
So if I ever flip, I don't lose it.
Right.
It was going to be a calm day. I did not strap it in.
You didn't strap it in.
And so when I flipped, I thought I lost it. I thought I lost all of my tackle. I have line in there. I have sunglasses. I have batteries. I have a bunch of stuff in there, right? And all my lures, which is probably several $100s worth of stuff in there,
Right.
And I'm just like, I thought I lost it, but it was floating because of those pool noodles that I put underneath.
That is too cool.
The sound, right? So I got saved that way. I really did. So anyway, I take inventory of everything, Gene, and I'm like, I got everything. I don't think I lost anything. My NRS boots. So I had just switched out my NRS boot. I got a warranty replacement, brand new NRS boots. First time I used them. Right? I took them off because it was hot. So I had socks underneath them. I took the socks off and put those in the back. I didn't lose those. The NRS boots, I got those. And so I had water shoes on at this point, and I'm going like, what did I lose? Like my rain gear, nothing. I somehow magically did not lose anything. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, there you are. Okay, yeah.
No,
so he's showing you everything, right?
Yeah, here's the.
All right.
Your boundary boots are in there. Yeah.
Yep. Boundary boots are in
right
there.
Right there.
I didn't lose nothing, right, at this point, other than potentially still worried about my fish finder, live scope, and my my power pole.
Right, for being submerged.
Those, right? Yep, for a long time too. So here's what I lost, Gene. Ready? It's still dirty because I've not washed it. Right? This guy's buddy, his pair, his other match is what I lost. Right? I lost a single sock. Is what I lost.
Dude, you had
crazy.
Something watching over you for that day, my friend. That is amazing.
It's insane, right? I mean, it's a story, right? It's a story. So again, I'm down. I got all my gear. I start coming back up. I'm like, okay, I'm still extremely worried that I lost my power pole and the live scope. I don't want to turn those on because I wanted them fully dry out before I tried those things. So I didn't try them out. I didn't try them out for a long time. So I'm off the water. This is all happened at 9:30. I get back on the water. It's about 11:30 to 11:50. So I was off the water for about 2 hours. I'm all spun out still. I still think I lost my live scope and maybe the power pole. I get back on the water. I text the guys, hey, I'm safe. I'm on the water. I'm good, I'm still in my mind. I'm looking at the standings, and I see Eric Ali. I see Paul Roth. I see Jason Duong. Those or Jason Duong and Paul are over 80 inches, I think, at that point. Paul may have been too. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys,
they're coming.
They're catching up to me. They're coming. I'm like, they could catch a 22-inch fish too, or 20-inch fish too, and catch me easy. Not easy, but it's possible. So now my head's spinning. I'm like, do I fish? Do I not fish? Like I'm not in fishing mode anymore. Like I'm dejected at this point. Even though I know I'm winning, big fish, all that stuff. I'm still dejected because it's a lot to handle, and my emotions are everywhere. I'm back on the water. I'm like, I'm gonna go fish. So I start trying to fish, but I'm fishing too fast. I was slowly reeling, right, and I wasn't anymore. I was just in my own head at this point, and I was a mess. And
Dude,
I was fishing, but I wasn't fishing, right?
Just a roller coaster of emotions that you
Right.
know that you'd gone through there. And yeah, I was getting sick to my stomach the very thought of, the electronics and the power pole if it's if it's ruined. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I go to the next point. Again, I've only fished 4 points at this point. I got like 12 more I want to go hit.
Right.
And it's noon. I have time still to hit a few at least. And I go hit one more. Josh Unger's over there. I kind of fish next to him. He catches one on a buzz bait. And I catch a bunch of little dinks. And I'm like, I finally told him, dude, I'm not in the right headspace. I'm done. I fished like half an hour maybe. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I'm going back to the truck. I'm done. So I started heading back to make a long run to the DOW ramp. And I'm heading that way. And it's probably it's about 1 o'clock at this point. Matt Collins, he calls me or texts me. I think he called me. Dude, there's a wiper boil going on over here. Get over here. Right? And I don't know about you, but I will stop everything I'm doing, even a bass tournament, when there's a wiper boil going on. Because those are few and far between when you get in them like that, right?
Heck yeah.
It's so much fun. I hightail it over there. I get there, and he's like, where are they? He's like, you missed it. They're done, right?
Oh.
And I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, dude, I don't know where they went. And within a couple minutes, all hell breaks loose all around my kayak. And they just start blowing up, right? And there's wiper just going everywhere. And there's little 10-inch trout are just jumping out of the water. That's what they're eating, the little trout. They're just jumping out of the water, and they're just going mad all over the place. I'm looking around. What can I throw at them? I don't have a lot of finesse stuff on, but I had a little chatterbait, little mini max chatterbait on. I grabbed that. I cast. Like 3 casts later, boom! I hook up. Right. I'm like, all right, we're on a wiper. Like, sweet. It's a smallmouth. It's a smallmouth.
Oh my gosh.
It's a 16 and a quarter, I think it was, smallmouth. So I got to upgrade at the very end.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So I took me from 85 to 86.75 or whatever it was. Right. And Matt caught a largemouth when we were fishing for wiper. And so for the last 45 minutes to an hour, we were just chasing wiper boils around. Like, because they move so fast, they're here and then they're 100 yards down or whatever. So we're just looking for them. They're over there. We hightailed over there, and all these boats around us, and we're catching wiper. I caught 4 or 5 good ones. I think I sent you a picture of one of them. Yeah, but we catch a bunch of them. Me and Matt are both hooking up, and we're just having fun out there. There's not even bass fish at this point, just having fun catching wiper. And all the boats are trying to get over to us. They get to us, the wiper move. This is the advantage of being a kayak.
Exactly.
Those wiper move, and those boats couldn't get there fast enough. And there it is right there, right? So, yeah, that was, I think, a 24.5 or 25-inch wiper, that one, I think was. Yeah, and that was my day, Gene. That's how it ended, right? So I fished for wiper at the end of the day. I went to award ceremony. I found out I won, which I figured I won with 86 inches. And that was my day, I'm happy to report a couple things. So I was still worried about my power pole. Power pole worked. My remote, I didn't want to test it. I tested it yesterday for the first time. My remote worked for my power pole. So I'm good there. Battery works. Everything works in the power pole. My fish finder, I'm not 100% positive yet because I haven't checked the transducer. I lost a battery, an amp battery that I just bought. It's a 12 amp hour battery that I just bought from Amp. It was submerged and that died. I did lose the battery. So I lost the socket and battery at the end of the day. The forward facing sonar works. I'm still not 100% sure about my traditional sonar. Everything else is good. So yeah, that was my day. What a day, right? Ups and downs and highs and lows.
Dude, that is like everything like just crammed into one, whole session there for you. That is insane. Yeah,
long story. Sorry for the length of it, but it's kind of all part of the story, right? It really is.
Heck yeah, man. That's that's the point on those, it's that how many times, I've been doing this a long time and never heard of anything that, hit like that, man. That is crazy.
Yeah, and to recover everything, I was very lucky, man. I was extremely lucky. And to have those guys come help me, and if no one came, I would not have ever got that kayak out of the water.
Right.
Somebody had to have physically helped me. There's just no way.
You know, and that's we talked about this at the very start of this whole thing. That is the community, man. It's
Right.
you know, for sure Colorado, but you know, anywhere they are. You know, I have run into that myself. You know, on many occasion, you know, just hearing the stories and seeing things out there. I try to make sure that I pay it forward. There was a buddy that I had met at Wilson Lake at the All-American. He was at Lake of the Pines, and he was going to have to run like 30 minutes, 30 miles, something like that away because he lost his paddle somewhere along the way.
Right.
I just so happened to have an extra one in my pickup, and I'm like, dude, take the paddle, is you know, Bending Branches one, take that, and then at the award ceremony, just give her back to me there, and we'll be good. And he's like, man, are you sure? And I'm like, of course, yeah. I mean, He goes, well, what if you need an extra? I'm like, well, then I've got a motor, dude. I'm okay, you know. Now, irony of that situation, that was the Lake of the Pines tournament where I lost my motor. I lost full control and had to paddle.
You remember that? Yeah.
I had to paddle my unlimited about 1.5 miles, and about 1 mile of that was in wicked, like 15 plus winds.
Right.
And I will say, you don't want to paddle the unlimited like that, but it can be done.
Yeah, especially with a motor on it, because that changes everything.
Dude, I had so much weight on that thing, and of course, dope me hadn't pulled the motor out. You know, because I kept hitting my remote the whole time. You know, going, oh, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. Yeah. No, and I'm just that new to the whole, you know, paddling and pedaling situation that it didn't get in my head. Get your draft, you know, get all your drag out of the water. I had brought my my transducer up just because it was in the way of paddling there. So.
Yeah, it's a good lesson, because I had the same thing, or not same thing, but a similar thing happened to me where I was pedaling, the same thing. I felt all this drag. I couldn't turn right. It's because my motor was down. Yeah. And as soon as I pulled it up, like, oh, now I have control of my kayak again. Because I use my motor to get to spot, and then I pedal from there, right? Right. That's the only thing I ever use my motor for when I can use it. And another lesson, too, is one time I lost control of my rudder. My rudder cable broke. Oh. And this is at Kentucky Lake for national championship for KBF a long time ago. My rudder broke during the tournament, and I was like, now what? And I'm over here paddling, you know, with my paddle, and I'm like, oh, finally, after like an hour, I'm like, hey, tell me, you still got pedals? Like, pedal, and your rudder now becomes your paddle, right? I use my as an oar, right? As kind of as my steering mechanism when I was pedaling. So I was pedaling doing this, right? Nice. But it took me an hour to figure that out, you know.
So I wanted to share this with you. I don't know if you had a chance to see this, but when you're talking about that wiper boil, I think the CKB was down there, I want to say a week or maybe 2 weeks before you guys got there. And during practice, I was way up. So I had launched from that DOW, and I had gone way up towards the inlet, and then I jumped across. There's a couple coves up in there that I had heard some good things about, so I wanted to go check them. Well, as I was coming up on the south end of that opening, I'm throwing like a Ned rig up. I'm just looking for feedback. You know, it's like dinks or not. I just want to get some sort of feedback. As I'm doing this, I'm retying in my boat. I'm tying up because I had got hung up on the rocks or whatever, and I nicked the fluorocarbon. So I'm retying. And all of a sudden, out of the back of my head here, I hear, boosh. I mean, like somebody's throwing rocks in the water. Right. I turn around, and it's a wiper boil that's going off. And I'm like, oh, what the heck? So I immediately put the Ned rig down. I grab my jerkbait rod, sling it out there like doink, doink, 2 pulls on it, whack. Get smoked. About an 18-inch. Wiper. I'm like, okay, there's got to be some smallies in there. So I throw a little bit further out. 1, 2 yoinks, boom, 20 plus wiper. Right. This was going literally in succession, happening within inside of about 5 to 10 minutes. I keep repeating this, and I'm working my way across the opening because I can see that's where the shad keep busting. So it's like the school is pushing them. So I just keep throwing up into the middle of it, and it was just one jerk and then reel it up the slack. One jerk, reel up the slack. And then I just kept bumping, my trolling motor towards them. I ended up getting like 3 of them went over 20.
Right.
And the biggest one at the end, I could not, I don't know its length because it was off of the catch board, the 26.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'll share that with you.
That's
here.
a fun fight.
Dude, it was.
Yeah.
So not that
that's
guy.
It. That's it.
Yeah,
Right
that's
there.
him right there. Hang on a sec here.
Man, Gene, you're that big. You make that look small.
Exactly. See the difference here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sharing. Why is it going to the wrong window? Hang on. We'll remove that one. We'll stop sharing that. We'll bring up.
There's so much fun though. God, those wipers, so much fun.
Well, and you, like you said, I mean, you proved it. Smallies will hunt with them. You know, they'll hang out in there.
Yeah, because they do all the work. They get all the fish all rounded up, and then they just go to town eating.
Why is it not sharing the right window? Let's stop sharing. All right, we're just going to go right to the big fish here.
There you go.
Present, share. Yeah, there he is. And it's still sharing the wrong thing. Well, how is that possible?
No idea.
You know what we'll do? We'll just do this real fast. And now we'll go back. Yeah, for some reason on Facebook there, as I keep trying to hit the Facebook, it has multiple pictures in there, and it just keeps sharing the very first one, which was that dinky little bass. That's what I was hitting with the Ned rig, and then this stuff happened
right behind you.
So this.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good one right there,
dude. That was it was
one.
all on a trout colored little jerk bait that Azuma makes. I actually got one of those to test out,
right?
And I've never really sat on it, but I put it on a spin casting rod on a medium heavy, just slinging that thing out there, and just like I said, just slow jerking this. There was a walleye boat. If you see my tether on my phone is going towards the phone there, that's the walleye boat next to me was willing, because I asked them when they saw me get this thing in after I fought it for 3 days.
Spinning rod,
yeah. We got him in on a egg beater, and when I put it up, they were watching and they were hooting and hollering for me when I got it. It broke my net. I actually had to buy a new net now because trying to hoist it up there, it bent at the handle. I'm like, okay, this net's toast. That blue one. But yeah, so I asked them like, hey, you boys don't happen to have a scale with you, do you? They were like,
I was going to ask you,
Yeah, they said, yeah, we sure do. And I'm like, this thing's got to be double digits, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I get it. They put it up. 10.97 is what it went.
Woo!
Personal best. I've never hit a wiper that big.
Neither,
and then they took a picture for me. I'm guessing it was probably close to 30 inches, is what I'm guessing. But it just fat. Dude, just fat. They were just gorging themselves up there.
Yeah. That's so much fun. Like, me and Matt, that's all we're doing. Just so especially a spinning rod, when you catch it on a spinning rod, if you don't have a good spinning reel, they could toast that reel, the drag, they'll burn it out.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you have to have a good reel for that too, but
I got some video footage I made an Instagram and a YouTube reel, a short, of it. I had my phone in my PFD right in the pocket there, and so just ad hoc, I'm like, record video, and I stuck it right there. I was like, see if it gets me, and it caught most of it.
Yeah,
because
it runs, right?
She was peeling. Yeah, I just kept letting it fight it because I had like 10-pound floral leader on 15-pound braid, and so it's like, we'll let her keep running. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was crossing my fingers hoping to see a brown shadow come up. I'm like, let's see it.
That was me.
Yeah. Dude, that is super cool. What an amazing, you win the event, 86 plus inches. That's one of the best days that I personally have seen in recent history at Pueblo by anybody. I mean, that's a hell of a number to put up there.
Pueblo.
Yeah.
Pueblo, that's a special day at Pueblo for sure.
Well, and I've always said this about Pueblo since I've had a chance now to sample most of the fisheries here, that are the bigger ones. And Pueblo to me is the one I do like the most, just from the fact that you can kind of fish how you want to, and they act the way they should there.
Right.
You know, it's like
do.
you see, you found the depth range where the bigger quality was sitting.
Right.
But they're in 6 inches to 20 feet. You know,
Right.
you can find them anywhere in there, but if you want your quality, this is where, being a next level angler like yourself, you were able to piece that pattern within a pattern and start tracking it down, man. And I love that about Pueblo. It offers that for you.
Yeah, I know. Pueblo's my favorite fishery. Trinidad's special. It can be, right. I think it's on a downturn right now, but it's a special lake. I mean, it's got quality. Everything in there's quality. I caught a 30-inch walleye in there. I mean, it's just a quality lake, right?
Wow.
But Pueblo, what makes Pueblo so good to me, and I don't even care if it's about dinks. The quality's getting better for sure, 100%. Quality's getting much better there. But to me, it's you can fish so many different ways there. You want to fish a bluff wall? Go fish a bluff wall. You want to fish shallows with weeds when the water's up in bushes, and you want to go flipping? You go flip. There's deep trees out west. You want to go fish deep trees. You could fish true weeds. You could fish a dam. You could fish slowly sloping banks. Hard sloping banks, 45-degree banks. You could fish deep. You could fish shallow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much there to fish, and you can fish any style that you want to fish, and they normally will be biting there. I mean,
yeah.
There are patterns within patterns, but yeah, it's just a great fishery. I love that lake. I really do.
Yeah, it's one of our. I plan on making a couple of our TPO trips. I want to take some guys down there just because I like down at the south. There's some options down south, relatively close to the ramp, that I could put some people on some good fish. That haven't had a chance to experience that yet. And so we're it's and I do like like I said, the hotels, the campgrounds, everything just together, amenities. It's all down there, man. Super cool.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it is.
Well, listen, man, I don't want to take up any more of your time. You, sir, that is an amazing story, and I'm glad we got it recorded here. We got it locked for we're going to put it in the archives now, and have this, for forever and ever. I can't wait to see. You've got to probably get a couple of these videos of what your phone took. Make some shorts, make some Instagram reels. Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I've been planning to do it. I need to do it. Yeah.
Because whenever you do, man, I have a feeling those are going to get a lot of traction and a lot of visibility.
It was something else. I'll say that.
I bet. Above all, we're glad you're okay and that your feet and such didn't get all tangled up. That's always my big worry is on my Unlimited. I don't know if it's maybe it's the same in the Slayer, but you would really have to work hard to flip this thing.
Oh, no doubt. Same with me.
Like, I'll fall out of it before it ever flips. But the thing that I could see flipping it is exactly what happened to you, which is getting tangled up in all my shit on the way by.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
And then you start worrying about, dude, thankfully I have, we both have NRS, Chinooks.
That's what I was going to say is I tell people, newbies don't like hearing this, or people even been fishing for a while. I don't need a fish finder. I can swim. I'm a hell of a swimmer. Like I'm a really, really, really good swimmer, right? Really good swimmer. That doesn't mean nothing in the water. It means nothing in the water.
Absolutely nothing.
You hit your head on the kayak somehow, somehow, or God forbid you faint for some reason. You're dehydrated. I don't know, something, right? Or let's just say, like one time I was fishing at Quincy and I was drifting backwards. I didn't know, and I hit the bank. The dam with all the rock, I hit it without knowing that it was there because I was getting pushed back and I didn't realize how fast I was moving. That I fell, and I would have gone luckily I fell directly into the seat, but I was at any angle, I would have fell, hit my head, could have rolled into the water. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get yourself in trouble. You get tangled up in gear.
Well,
I know people drowned.
I was going to say, you get disoriented, man.
Right,
when you come out of these things, people don't understand that this isn't a controlled, half pike swan dive. This is a mess happening at once, and you lose your bearings as far as where in the hell, what's up, what's down, where are you? If you don't have flotation assisting with that, keeping you safe like that.
So I always tell people, I wear it. I don't care how hot it is. I wear it 100% of the time. And I'll give you another story, and this is another reason why. A guy drowned at Cherry Creek a couple years ago from a boat. So he had something wrapped up in his prop. He got out of his boat in about 8 feet of water, maybe. I mean, he's just below the water. So he got out of his boat with his family in the boat still, pushed himself underwater to get to the prop and try to work whatever was under there. So he went underwater to work it out. No PFD, just to work it, right? He never came up. So what happened to him was he hit the bottom with his feet, the mud, and he's working on it. His feet got stuck in the mud because it creates a vacuum. When we've all had that where boots get stuck in the mud.
Yep.
You pull out, and your shoe or boot just stays there, right? Because it creates a vacuum. And it's just so a vacuum got created with his feet, and then the guy never came up. With his family right up above there, he drowned 2 feet away from him being safe, right? And so that kind of thing can happen in a kayak or anything else, right? As you get off to move your kayak, like I fell in, I'm trying to move it. I'm hitting the ground to pull myself. Maybe I'm underwater a little bit, and I get stuck, and I'm done, right?
Yep.
For me, with my PFD on, I swam. I just kicked and kicked and kicked till I got to shore, right?
Exactly.
So, anyways, that's a whole safety thing. But
in a former life, man, I spent time on the Larimer County Dive Rescue Team, and it's by no mistake that the lion's share of the fatalities of the work that we would see were the individuals without PFDs. The argument that, well, even with a PFD, dude, you're talking, very small percentage and very odd one-off situations. Coast Guard releases their stuff every year, and they show the numbers of the drowning deaths that take place out there. 75 to 80% of them are not wearing PFDs. There is a theme there, and you can't be stupid about it. I personally think, especially with our cold water in Colorado, dude.
Oh, no doubt.
Your body will shut down in 50, 60 degree water. It will start to shut down immediately. That is your core temperature is about 30 degrees higher than that. And that water sucks that right out of you. And that's when you start losing the ability to swim so great then. So, yeah.
And wear your PFD correctly.
No kidding.
Especially those self-inflating ones. They have to be tight. Because if they're loose and they inflate, it just comes up. But that's another thing. Anyways.
I used to have one of those myself, and I used it for shore work that we would do with the dive team. Right. When I got in the bass boat world and started, doing 70 plus mile an hour around lakes, I started thinking to myself, what it was is one of mine that I had went off in my one of my lockers when it was in storage. It was in my garage. And I'm literally out there working on it, and I hear a boom. And I'm like, what the heck just happened inside my boat? And I look, and it inflated on its own. And I'm like, do I want to leave my life in the hands of possibly a mechanical device? Nope. No. So I got myself a good PFD for the boat, and I knew I got that Chinook right out the gates when I got in this. It's like, we're not skimping there, man. We're getting a good deal, and that's what we'll deal with. So.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Listen, congratulations on an amazing, amazing event. Awesome, huge smallmouth. Awesome again to hear the fact that only a sock and a battery were were your casualties. It hurts to hear that it was that we lost an amped battery out there, but yeah, I suppose you take an electrical device and you submerge it for 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah. Things are going to happen, right?
Yeah, and not good things.
No, not good things. So.
But, yeah, man, all the way around, what an awesome story. We can't thank you enough for sharing it, man. That is so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a good story. So,
well, I'm sure we'll be having you back on here, and I'm hoping to catch it in a couple of these next events. And who knows, there might be options out there that I can start exploring when it comes to the CKFC events, because I would like to, definitely, when the opportunity presents itself. Next year, we're pulling back from the national scene a little bit. We're going to focus 100% on the All-American, though. We're going to stay with that, just because we've got I believe in what they've built there. That's super cool for the flyover states. And then the local scene. That's it. We're not gonna chase KBF or Bass or Hobie or any of those others. It just doesn't. Our priority is here with the TPO and with the nonprofit work, and we want to keep it that way. Yeah. And
great. Can I give a quick plug? Sorry, Gene.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah.
So obviously I'm sponsored by Native, but that's beside the point. So Native is having they have a kayak series they started too. I don't know if you know about their kayak series.
Huh.
Yeah. So they're running a few events throughout the nation, but so they're having one the closest one to us is gonna be at Lake Fork in October. The unique thing about their tournaments is they do all fish count, the old MLF style, right?
Really?
Again, they have a minimum size, so let's say it's 15 inches. You can catch 115 inches, and it all counts, and it's all totaled, right? And then the biggest fish of the hour gets like a huge prize. I think it's like $1,000 or something crazy. They're giving away 2 kayaks. It's a pretty good little deal. They're giving away quite a few prizes, so it's a cool little. It's a unique tournament, right? It's not just best 5 fish. It's every fish counts. So
big question: is it fat guy friendly? Are they allowing motors in?
I don't. I should know this, but I don't know. I don't know the facts behind that.
Well, if they're allowing motors, let's talk, brother. I have a feeling you're going to it. Yeah,
I'm gonna try. It's hunting season. I got.
Oh yeah.
October's a tough time for me because of my hunts and stuff too. But if I can make it happen, I'm gonna make it happen. I love Fork. I go to Fork as often as I can. So
I was gonna say a chance to go fish Texas Lake Fork in October.
Right. Oh. Yeah, you can't beat that.
I've only got one event on the October schedule right now, and that's the Lake of the Ozarks. I'm going to go down there and fish one of those with Moyak, just because I love Lake of the Ozarks is a special place to me. And in the fall, I've been there a couple times in the fall, and it can be a ton of fun down there.
Yep.
But man,
so late October.
Late October, Native Watercraft doing a tournament at Lake Fork. So I'll look into this, and if so, who knows? Maybe. Any way to save money, on that stuff going down there, man, I'm in for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. We usually get houses everywhere we go, so yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That would be that'd be super cool. So,
yeah.
All right, brother.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate what you do. Thank you very much, man.
Dude, we can't thank you enough. And CKFC, awesome event. Good to see you. I want to start getting more of you guys from those events, especially now that a lot of my schedule slowed down. We'll start covering a lot more of the CKFC. Also, I worked it out with Matt where we try to let that podcast do its stuff, immediately, and then we'll come in, from the side on that. So
makes sense.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, keep tearing them up out there, and keep enjoying the downtime. And I'm sure we'll have you on here soon.
Right on.
And what's going on there? Sorry about that, folks. Awesome stuff with the streaming software. All right, now it's for real. So yes, thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. All right, folks. There we go. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Stick with us here. We got more stuff coming down the line, more interviews. We'll keep trying to get some of those in. Like I said, check out the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. If you're interested in getting involved in kayak fishing, if you're interested in looking at the sport itself through tournament sport or just the community, Colorado Kayak Fishing Club is your place to absolutely go if you're in Colorado or the surrounding areas here. It is a phenomenal source of amazing people and that are willing to help you out around any corner they're in. Who knows, maybe you can find yourself a super ridiculously awesome story like what happened to Alex, because that is one for the ages. Absolutely make sure to hit the subscribe button for us, folks. That is exactly how we can keep this whole thing flowing here. As always, tight lines and be safe.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.